This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. Ardhika Shastravettalu. He is an economist, Dr. Prabhakar Reddy Tada. He is our guest. He is vibrantly experienced. వారికి చాలా అనుభవం ఉన్నది. ఆ అనుభవంతో ఈరోజు బడ్జెట్ అంటే లెక్కలు. మనకు లెక్కలు ఎవరు చెప్పాలి? ప్రజాస్వామ్యంలో ప్రభుత్వం చెప్పాలి. ఎందుకంటే మనం ఓటేసి వాళ్ళని గెలిపిస్తాం కదా. సో మన పద్దులు, మనం కట్టే ట్యాక్సులు, డైరెక్ట్ కట్టే ట్యాక్సులు ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ అంటాం. ఇండైరెక్ట్ గా పప్పు ఉప్పుల నుంచి మీరు కొనేటివన్నిటి కూడా అది ఒక ట్యాక్సులు. సో ఇట్లా రకరకాలైనటువంటి ట్యాక్సులు, దానివల్ల పన్నులు అంటాం మనం. దానివల్ల ప్రభుత్వానికి ఆదాయం వస్తుంది. ఆ వచ్చిన ఆదాయాన్ని ఏ విధంగా సంవత్సరం కాలం పాటు సంక్షేమానికి కానీ, అభివృద్ధికి కానీ, ఇంకా ఈ రోజు రేపులో గొప్పలకు కానీ ఏ విధంగా పెడుతున్నారు, ఆ పద్దులు చెప్పాల్సిన బాధ్యత మనం ఓటేసి ఎన్నుకున్నటువంటి ప్రజాప్రతినిధుల లోక్సభ కానీ, శాసనసభ కానీ, దాని అనువుగా పర్యవేక్షించేటువంటి పెద్దల సభలు రాజ్యసభ కానీ, లెజిస్లేటివ్ కౌన్సిల్. సో ఇవి మూలం. అందు గురించే ప్రతి సంవత్సరం మనం బయట బ్యాంకులలో ఆడిట్ అంటాం, ఇక్కడ budget. So welcome to this special show. We have got a wonderful guest in. We are in a people participatory constitutional democracy. We vote and get the political parties representatives to represent us in Lok Sabha as well as Assembly. So every year, as we say audit of a bank or whatever you do business, similar way the audit of public funds is done by parliament as well as assemblies, because the taxes paid by us direct in the form of income tax, ITR returns we call indirect, right from salt to whatever you buy, all over, including the televisions, the screens, whatever you buy, the computers, they all come under indirect taxes. And so the governments are bound to give us that expenditure, how much tax is collected, how much they have expended on what, and how much they have borrowed in case if they have borrowed from other. These days it has become a fashion. That is how we say the world bodies are controlling India. Once you take a loan, what happens? Similar situations, why are we landing? So those are all we are going to understand. Welcome to the special show, Prabhakar Reddy Tada garu. Before I make him a presenter to present his PPT, let me just show you how our 1 rupee is being spent by this government. Let me just, here it is. 1 rupee to government will have 58 paise from taxes. For every rupee in the government coffer, 58 paise will come from direct and indirect taxes. I have told you, income tax as well as indirect taxes which they collect from all the goods which we buy. Income tax ద్వారా మళ్ళీ మనం కొనేటువంటి ప్రతి వస్తువు పైన నుంచి వచ్చేది ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్, డైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ ద్వారా. ఇది 35 పైసే ఫ్రమ్ బారోయింగ్స్ చెప్పాను కదా, బయట నుంచి అక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడ నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటి అప్పులు తప్పులు. దాని తర్వాత 5 పైసే ఫ్రమ్ నాన్ ట్యాక్స్ రెవెన్యూ లైక్ డిస్ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్, అంటే పబ్లిక్ సెక్టర్ యూనిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ప్రభుత్వ రంగ సంస్థలు, ఎయిర్ ఇండియా టాటాకు బాయ్, బిఎస్ఎన్ఎల్ జియోకి బాయ్, హెచ్ఏఎల్ అంబానీ మిగతా వాళ్ళకు బాయ్. ఇట్లా ఆల్ పబ్లిక్ సెక్టర్ యూనిట్స్, హౌ హెచ్ఏఎల్ has gone to Ambani's, BSNL has gone to Jio Ambani's, and farming sector it is going to Adani's. Likewise, Air India has gone to Tata. So with that disinvestment, because it is our money, we are getting 5 paise and 2 paise from non-debt capital receipts according to the budget documents for 2022 and 23. This is how 1 rupee to the government will have 58 paise from taxes and 35 paise from borrowings and other liabilities, 5 paise from non-tax revenue, because they pledge on our head and they borrow loans from the lead bank called London Bank at a very nominal percentage, and that is how banks try to again reloan it to all these big enterprises at our cost, at our liability. So that is what liabilities is all about. So now we will understand from Prabhakar Reddy Garu as to how and why we are being subjugated to this budget. And this year, what has happened, whether salaried class are happy, middle class is happy, or it is only the geo type of people, are they happy, wherein all their gadgets and everything is being masterminded into the mainstream, wherein in the form of digital India or whatever you call, internet and internet banking, digital currency, are we going to pay more from our pocket? Yes, sir. Shall I make you a presenter?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please. Go ahead, sir. You are the presenter.
Namaste. Yeah, Andak Namaskaram. Namaste. Yeah, I am Prabhakar Reddy. I'm an economist. I've been working for the last 25 years on various themes of economics. But today I'll be speaking about Union Budget 2022 and 23. And I would like to say before something which is very important. Budget is a tool in the hands of the government. It is a policy document. It enables the government to raise the revenue and spend for the people. The government is endowed with so many resources, but still they need much more because the demands from the people will be rising. So in this context, they try to make a balance between receipts and expenditure. It is something like what we prepare in our business concerns. A statement called receipts and expenditure. A government is also preparing a statement. It is called budget. Budget is a policy tool which enables them to spend for necessary areas and spend less in the case of non-urgent sectors or departments. This is how it goes. Let me thank Siva Prasad Reddy Garu. He has given introduction. He has lessened my burden by showing you how a rupee is being raised. So as he rightly pointed out, tax revenue, non-tax revenue, market borrowings and other methods by which the central government will raise the revenue and try to spend it for the welfare of the people. In a democratic country, in a democratic setup, the governments are having a responsibility to raise the revenue from people who can pay, which means based on their incomes, governments will try to raise the incomes and then try to spend it to the poor and vulnerable sections and lower middle class people, and slowly if they come above middle class and other sections. What I mean to say, as I rightly told you, the budget is a policy document, a policy tool, which helps them to make necessary changes, allocations, priorities, and investments for different sections of society. So, in this case, I would like to speak about the current budget, Union Budget 2022-23 presented by Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman Garu yesterday, that is 1st February 2022. It has so many aspects. It has covered so many aspects. Let us see one by one, and I'll share my PPT here. Would you be able to see my PPT, sir?
Yet to come, sir.
Can you see my? Now,
Not yet, sir.
not it.
You have to here. You have to go here. Screen. It is there. No, sir. You click this, then it will share you. I've made you a presenter. Here
Okay,
it is.
okay, right. Yeah.
Share screen. You click
Okay.
even media sounds also in that media sounds and ask into share
Yeah, one
wherever it
second.
is,
I'm
whether it
doing.
is on desktop or email or WhatsApp, wherever it is. After you hit the share screen, then you go to that and then it will appear on the screen. For the fourth year, a woman finance minister presenting the budget, and as she has been doing it regularly, last year 1 hour 52 minutes, this year it is only 52 minutes. Maybe the budget is also confronted with corona pandemic. It's a great privilege that a woman minister, congratulate her. That is wonderful, because our household budgeting is done by none other than our mother, wife, or sister, whoever it is. And India has such a finance minister. But why we are still not able to cope up? Crores of employment generation as promised by BJP NDA government. It has come to just 15 to 16 lakhs in this budget. Instead of creation, why it is coming down? Like the budget speech has come down to 52 minutes now. This year from 1 hour 52 minutes. Maybe everything is being censored in the name of pandemic or corona. Not only that, the worst part is the BJP, which has come on the dash rule, has really got the budget to February 1. That means you are following the English New Year. That is why they are denoting it as 2022. Only January is there. Hitherto it used to be, yes, sir, it has come.
Okay. Yeah.
Now you can make it full screen also once you go for slide.
Yeah. Yeah. It is full.
This the side ones also will go, sir. Once you hit the slide show,
Mm,
entire screen will show.
Now, I'm clicking slideshow.
You can say it
వస్తుందా
full screen. ఇంకా రాలేదు sir, full screen రాలేదు.
లేదా ఎందుకు ఇలా
If you're
అవుతుంది
comfortable this way, it's okay. No problem, sir. But if it is full
బట్ అక్కడ
screen, I think the entire world will watch.
యా యా అదే ఇప్పుడు ఇది ఇక్కడ స్లైడ్ షో కనబడుతుంది నా కంప్యూటర్లో
Okay.
మీకు
నాకు కూడా
రావట్లేదు
అంటే పక్కన ఇవి ఉన్నాయి కదా, మార్జిన్స్ వెళ్ళిపోతాయి.
అదే అది ఎట్లా
When you
అనేది
say
చూస్తున్నాను
full screen, otherwise go ahead, sir. Not a problem. Yeah,
వాళ్ళకి
now you
ఫుల్
got
వ్యూ
a
ఇస్తే బాగుంటుంది యా ఓకే యా
ఇప్పుడు
స్పీచ్ ఇస్ మోర్
union
ఇంపార్టెంట్
budget. Now you say go for union first page.
యా 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 దిస్ ఈస్ అవర్ యూనియన్ బడ్జెట్ 2022 and 23. At the outset, I would like to thank Government of India, especially the Finance Minister, for presenting such a wonderful budget with a lot of issues covered. And to begin with, let me tell you, this is a growth-induced and reform-oriented budget. There are two aspects to this. When I say growth-induced and reform-oriented,
Now
as
you
we have
you
been
click the
watching,
first page, sir. You
yeah,
click the first page, so that will appear now.
this one,
The first page you have to click, the first one where I have put the cursor. That will come full screen. So like that, slide after slide, you can present. లేదంటే ఇంతకు ముందు లాగానే వెళ్ళిపోండి సార్. ఇక్కడ నుంచి మొదలు పెట్టండి సార్. ఐ థింక్ దిస్ విల్ బి బెటర్.
మీరేమంటున్నారు దీన్ని ఏం చేయాలి
నెక్స్ట్ వన్ యూ గో ఫర్ నెక్స్ట్ స్లైడ్.
ఓకే
యారో మార్క్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, లేకుంటే ఇక్కడ లెఫ్ట్
ఇక్కడ
సైడ్
ఏం
పోయి ఇక్కడ
కనబట్లేదు ఇక్కడ ఏం లేవు
ఎంటర్ నొక్కండి, లేకపోతే ఆరోస్ ఉంటాయి కదా సార్, అప్ అండ్ డౌన్.
సో ఇదే ఇలా వస్తుంది బట్ అది కావట్లేదు
ఇది 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 ఉంది కదా, నెక్స్ట్ స్లైడ్ ఇది. You can just యా నౌ ఇంతకు ముందు వచ్చింది, ఫుల్ స్క్రీన్ వచ్చింది. దీని కింద మీద
వచ్చిందా?
చేయండి సార్. ఇంతకు ముందు వచ్చి మళ్ళీ పోయింది. ఓ యూ హావ్ కమ్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. సింపుల్ సార్, ఇక్కడ కిందికి పోయి షేర్ స్క్రీన్ అనేది అది ఎక్కడ ఉందో అక్కడ క్లిక్ చేయండి. వాట్ ఎవర్ వే లెట్ ఇట్ కమ్.
వచ్చిందా?
వచ్చింది కానీ ఇది జస్ట్ పేజ్ వచ్చింది సార్. సమ్
ఓకే,
స్లైడ్,
ఒక్క
లాస్ట్
నిమిషం.
స్లైడ్.
ఇప్పుడు ఏమైనా పెద్దగా వస్తుందా?
ఇప్పుడు పెద్దగా వచ్చింది. గో టు ది ఫస్ట్ స్లైడ్. దిస్ నౌ ఇట్ ఇస్ ఫుల్ స్క్రీన్. నౌ గో బ్యాక్ టు ది ఫస్ట్
Yeah,
స్లైడ్.
this is my first one.
అవును,
ఇది
ఇది
ఫస్ట్ వన్.
పేజ్ 2 ఆఫ్ 2 అని వస్తుంది సార్.
ఇది వన్, ఇక్కడ వేరే ఏం లేదు. ఇది కాకుండా ఇదే.
లేదు సార్, ఇట్స్ నాట్. ఒక పని చేస్తాను సార్, నేను మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి ఐ విల్ మేక్ యూ ప్రెజెంటర్ అగైన్.
నేను మీకు పంపాలా ఇది పీపీటీ?
లేకుండా నాకు పంపండి సార్, నేను ప్లే చేస్తాను.
ఒక్క నిమిషం.
So our first finance minister has presented our fourth budget, if I'm not wrong. And this budget lasted for 52 minutes. Various aspects we will hear from the economist. What are those and how they are going to help? And after which again we will have 10 to 15 minutes discussion on what is to be done and how it should go. Just finding at the moment just some technical difficulties. Don't go away. They will be sorted out in a minute or two. Did you send them to me, sir?
No, I'm trying. మీ ఈమెయిల్ నా దగ్గర ఉంది కదా?
Email undi. I have not made you a presenter. Now I'll make you a presenter. Because you're not a presenter, it may not come.
ఒక్క నిమిషం. మీ ఈమెయిల్ చెప్పండి.
ఈమెయిల్ అయినా లేకపోతే వాట్సాప్ పంపించండి సార్.
వాట్సాప్కి ఇక్కడ నుంచి.
వాట్సాప్ ఈజీ కదా సార్. ఇంకా ఈమెయిల్లో ఉందా మీకు అది? ఈమెయిల్ ఉంటే DRTSPR వాట్సాప్ పంపిస్తే ఫాస్ట్.
వాట్సాప్లో పంపుతాను, ఉండండి. ఒక్క నిమిషం పంపిస్తున్నాను.
డైరెక్ట్ ఒకవేళ అది రాకపోతే మెయిల్ అయినా పంపండి సార్. ఏది దీస్ ఆర్ సమ్ టెక్నికల్ ఇష్యూస్ విచ్ యు ఆర్ ఫేసింగ్. కొద్దిగా సాంకేతిక ఇబ్బందుల వల్ల పవర్ పాయింట్ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ప్రభాకర్ రెడ్డి గారిది వేరే రూపంలో మేము మీకు అందించే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తా ఉన్నాం.
చెప్పండి. మీది డాక్టర్ TSPR
SHOW9 @gmail.com. DRTSPR SHOW
ఓకే
9 @gmail.com.
ఓకే. కంప్యూటర్ స్లో ఉంది సార్. ఐఎమ్ సారీ.
వాట్సాప్ ద్వారా లేదంటే అట్లీస్ట్ ఇఫ్ యూ హావ్ యువర్ డాటర్ ఐ విల్ జస్ట్ ఆస్క్ హర్ టు.
నాన్నైట్ రారా.
I made you a presenter. You just try once from your end. దీని కింద నుంచి you have to share your screen. Share screen అనండి. Bro, sir, share చేయండి సార్. I made you a presenter.
Yeah,
or else,
okay. Sharing.
yeah.
Coming. వచ్చిందా?
Now, sir, go ahead, sir. Now let me not, whether it is full screen or whatever it is, please go ahead. Yeah. దాని కిందకి కొట్టుకుంటూ రండి సార్ మొత్తం.
అవును.
మాట్లాడుకుంటూ కింద.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
This is my union budget 22-23. I would like to make some remarks about it, and it has a plethora of issues that have been discussed in a detailed fashion. To begin with, I am focusing on certain aspects like why it is growth induced, because it appears that finance minister is more concerned about the GDP growth rate and reforms, and they were also talking about corporate profitability and GDP growth rate and the GST collections. These are the three things which have been discussed for last couple of months. But I feel that the GDP by itself will not really give anything to the common people unless it is being distributed evenly through some kind of mechanism. The people would be able to get something out of it. Therefore, having or wish to have some kind of growth rate is fine, but we need to see that how this growth rate of GDP will be distributed evenly to everyone, leaving no one behind. And secondly, reform oriented. Why it is reform oriented? Knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally, we have been treading the path that is economic reforms path from 1991, and we have agreed to adopt liberalization, privatization, and globalization. As part of LPG strategy, we are going in for reforms time and again. But is there any necessity for certain reforms in certain sectors? We need to discuss. We need to think it over. Is there any need to go in for reforms in a particular sector? Let me tell you one thing. Uh, as our Prasad Reddy, Shiv Prasad Reddy Garu correctly pointed out in the beginning, Air India has been divested and it has been sold out to somebody. Tata's have got it. And if it is really making losses, if you are not able to manage it, then well, you can do it. But why do we want to privatize and sell the very good performing companies or institutions for that matter? So therefore, the issue is that growth is for whom, and if there is a growth rate of GDP, how you are going to distribute among the people by looking at their incomes and you know other aspects. Secondly, why do we need reforms in each and every sector? Why not we confine it to some sectors only? That is one thing. Secondly, just before the budget, there is a tradition that Government of India will present economic survey every year, and one day before the budget, on the last working day of January, that is 31st, they have presented the economic survey 2021 to 22, and in which it was mentioned that the GDP growth rate will be something around 9% this year, and for the coming year, they estimated that, or rather, they predicted that it would be 8 to 8.5% per annum. So, which means the GDP, we were not able to really reach that previous period. Before COVID, we were having a very good growth rate. But as a result of COVID, we have really lost everything, and it has really adversely affected each and every section of society. People lost their lives, livelihoods, and many other assets. And more importantly, the children and women are affected adversely. The point is that when we are trying to minimize and manage the adverse impact of COVID-19, we are also learning on the other hand and trying to manage it. While doing so, the point is that children and women are the disproportionately affected sections of society who needed to be looked at thoroughly, carefully, and whatever we are planning immediately in the budget, there should have been some programs, some activities, some allocations for the children and women. Yes, thanks to the budget, there is one important aspect, that is digitization or digital education. Okay, I'll come to that point. For children, for the sake of children who were deprived of their education, the budget has introduced a scheme that we'll discuss later. Now, if you look at the sector's performance, these sectors are performing differently. Agriculture has performed very well, and the industry did not do well. When it comes to service sector, it has performed well in 1920, and in 2021, because of COVID-19, it could not really show any growth rate or any improvement rather. But in 21-22, again it has posted some growth rate or some improvement. So the point is that when the economy's performance is looked at from three angles, three
Sir, can you
sectors:
move the screen?
agriculture.
Prabhakar Reddy garu. Can you move the screen?
Yeah,
ఎందుకంటే
yeah,
screen అగ్రికల్చర్ ఒకటి కనిపిస్తుంది. Yeah, GVF
okay,
services sector 7.2. Yeah,
yeah. Now,
yeah, you
gross
can see.
value added of services sector, gross value added of services sector is 7.2 in 1920, minus 8.4 in 2021, and 8.2% in 21-22. And the industry did not do well. We know pretty well that for the last many years, manufacturing sector has miserably failed in creating employment opportunities and contributing to the Indian economy in a big way.
కిందికి
We know
రండి సార్
pretty well
ఇంకొకటి.
that.
ఇండస్ట్రీస్ కింద ఉంది కదా లాస్ట్. యా, ఇంకొద్దిగా చిన్నగా చేయండి సార్ అది. ఇంకొద్దిగా చిన్నగా. నౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఓకే. ఎస్.
Yeah, let me complete this. 1 second. Yeah, when we look at the sectoral performance, this is the performance. Agriculture is the one which has really performed very well. Agriculture is the only sector which saved many people during COVID-19. We know pretty well that many migrant laborers have returned to their homes on foot. We have seen in television sets, and many people were walking down back to their homes. And however, when they came back to their rural areas, agriculture is the sector which provided some kind of employment and livelihood. Therefore, agriculture has never failed, and it has taken care of needs of each and every person. Uh, the numbers will speak about it. In 1920, it was 4.3% growth rate. In 2021, it was 3.6. In 21-22, 3.9. Worth noting point is that despite COVID-19 and its adverse impact on different sections of society and all the sectors, agriculture could withstand and produce a positive result and contribute to the people in terms of employment and livelihood. And now let's look at the what is our budget is saying now. Let me look at the broad macro picture of the Union Budget 22-23. Our finance minister has estimated an expenditure of 39.45 lakh crores. The total budget is, total expenditure is 39.45 lakh crores. While tax revenue other than borrowings estimated to be 22.84 lakh crores, which means of the expected expenditure, that is 39 roughly 40 lakh crores, through taxes we get a revenue of 22.84 lakh crores, but there is a deficit of 16.61 lakh crores. The question is, how do we raise this money? Because thinking that we are going to spend 39.45 lakh crores in a year, how do we fill that gap? Are we going to borrow, or are we going to adopt other methods? That's very important. And if we are not able to raise that revenue, certainly we will not be able to take up the activities that we mentioned in our budget. That's where the governments are having the responsibility. Government of India should be able to find the ways and means to either to borrow or to resort to fiscal space creation measures by which they can raise the revenue and mop up the resources to the tune of 16.61 crores. So the now the question is, it appears now the question is, it is a bit difficult on the part of the government of India to raise the 16.61 lakh crore rupees, because as an economist I can look at it. I've been analyzing the state finances and central government finances every year, and filling this kind of gap, this is huge gap deficit. It's very difficult. And when we look at these absolute numbers in terms of fiscal deficit, in the next paragraph, 6.4% of GDP. So the fiscal deficit that we have is 6.4% of GDP. And finally, we have to reach a particular level, that is 4.5% by 25-26. It means, given the absolute numbers above, 40 lakh crores, revenue raised through taxes 22-23 lakh crores, the deficit is 16-17 lakh crores. Let's assume that the government of India will adopt borrowings. It will borrow internally, externally. As you know, in modern days, most of the economies are adopting, borrowing as the tool by which they can really get whatever they want. But even borrowing has a limit. If you go on borrowing, if you go on taking loans from external sector, externally from multinational organizations like World Bank and IMF, it will have a serious repercussions. And if your capacity is not that extent, then we will be failing to make the payments, to make the repayments. So therefore, and one should be very cautious in taking the loans, resorting to borrowings. But we say in traditional economics that one of the fiscal space creations is that managing debt, which means either you borrow or you restructure the existing debt, mop up resources, and try to spend as you promised, made a pronouncement in the parliament and outside the parliament, and people are really anxiously waiting to see that how much government is going to spend for their welfare and so on. So now when you work out the fiscal deficit, it is 6.4% of GDP. It is very high. It is very high. Now that we have FRBM Act, which says that you can't have this much fiscal deficit. Therefore, in order to fill up this huge budgetary gap, the government of India has fixed uh, every year some target till until 25-26. By 25-26, we should be able to reach that 4.5% fiscal deficit of GDP. So now how do we do this? It is in fact a Herculean task. Government should be able to do very, very perfectly. Otherwise, it will be in doldrums. Rather, we will end up in financial problems. And I would like to give an example. Way back, that's about 10 years back, Greece, the experience of Greece, and one or two other countries who have literally failed to repay their loans, and the governments became bankrupt, and the banks got problems, severe problems, and ultimately the economy and completely got shattered. So therefore, let's look at the budget very seriously. Now coming to budget, what are the pluses, what are the minuses? Or rather, I can say that what are the interesting aspects that have been discussed in our union budget yesterday, and what are the aspects that may not be really very interesting to the common people or people who are really expecting something from the government. And I am congratulating the government for making certain initiatives, making some statements about certain initiatives. And one of those initiatives would be modernization of the Anganwadi centers. Government of India mentioned that 2 lakh Anganwadi centers will be modernized. It is a good beginning because uh, this is a program, you know very well that through Anganwadi centers, children and lactating mothers, pregnant women and lactating mothers will be given nutritious food and other required medicines and so on. And even the children will get joyful learning until 0 to 6 years. Therefore, the Anganwadi centers are very, very important. So modernization of these 2 lakh Anganwadi centers will certainly improve the quality service, will certainly improve the delivery of services, and therefore this is a good beginning, it is a welcoming feature. Now second aspect is that under PM Awas Yojana, government is contemplating to construct and allocate it to the poorer sections. That is 18 lakh housing units will be constructed under PM Awas Yojana. This is another important thing. And as a matter of fact, the 18 lakh housing units may not be adequate, but since they are going on the right path, we should encourage them. And third thing is that the provision of drinking water facility to 3.8 crore houses with an investment of 60,000 crore investment, which is really laudable because drinking water is a very basic minimum thing, and most of the state governments are working towards providing potable drinking water. And this is not 100%. It should become universal, and any government, whether it is central government or state government, if they are really taking up an initiative to provide drinking water to each and every household in rural and urban areas, that should be appreciated. And let us see that the number may be less, 3.8 crore houses, but let them do it. Whatever they say in budget, at the end of the day, they should be able to achieve that. We expect that the government should be able to achieve whatever they mentioned in the union budget. So that's all we want. And next is that another important thing which has been in the controversy for quite some time. Government intends to procure 1,000 lakh metric tons paddy. This is one important thing with a view to help the farmers. Whether central government will procure or state government will procure or both will procure together with a policy of, uh, which is already there in the practice. State government will procure and central government will reimburse that amount. So this is another important thing, and I'm happy that at least they talked about procurement of paddy to the tune of 1 lakh metric tons, and it should be much more. When I looked at last year data, it was 1,200 something. Now this year the number has come down, and let me ask why it is happening. We need to increase the number. We need to procure more and more because the paddy output is very high. It is really on the positive side. Telugu states are, producing, heaps and heaps of paddy. So therefore, the number of metric tons, lakhs of metric tons procurement should go up. The next point is another important point from the rural perspective. The government talked about natural farming on a pilot basis starting from Uttar Pradesh. And if we are following the newspapers, it has been discussed every day in and day out. Natural farming is being advocated by the government, which is really good. It is a kind of organic farming, and if it is really practiced, and people will be able to get organic output, which is good to the health. So the natural farming initiative will be started from Uttar Pradesh on a pilot basis. Some may raise, questions saying that why it is from UP, why not from MP or other state? And anyway, they have their own logic. The next thing is PM Gati
Election
Shakti.
logic. Elections logic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes, of course, the government which is in ruling certainly will try to appease and play the role of big brother. Will start from this state, this place, and so on. Then PM Gati Shakti, which is another important program which tries to converge 16 ministries together and try to provide a kind of very good connectivity. and then land digitization. And Government of India, what do I say, unequivocally mentioned land will be digitized. And if you see the past 2 years, more and more digital economy is discussed. More and more digitization is being talked about. So it's fine. I mean, when digitization is really completely done, then certainly it will benefit everyone tomorrow, but it will have its own impact in the coming years.
We are seeing what is
Land
happening in the name
digitization.
of Dharani in Telangana. What is happening in the name of Dharani in
Yes,
Telangana? We
yes,
are seeing farmers are committing suicides, middle class on the
yeah,
roads. And because
yeah,
every state has got a different policy, I don't understand why Prime Minister doesn't discuss such type of important issues on the floor of Parliament. They speak something in the budget. It's a good aspect. Land digitalization should give title guarantee, boundaries, so that no one will have any problem.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. The land digitization should be able to give us the boundaries and land titles pakka. Then only the lands of the farmers will be made pakka, and they can be assured that their lands are safe. Then another important thing is that linking of rivers. The project may seem something which is politically motivated, but it is not so in my view. It has been discussed for quite some time now. The government is really dare enough to introduce linking of rivers,
It
and
is not in
results
our
of
favor, sir.
which,
It is not in our favor in Telangana. I tell you, I come from Krishna Basin. The entire
mm,
Krishna water, as per assured
mm,
waters, have been sabotagedly handed over to another state. Now the Prime Minister, Chief Minister of Telangana, now he is concentrating on Godavari. That is what we were saying. If gold, we took the example of gold. Per tulam, per 10 grams gold, if it is around 30,000, 35,000, we are asking him, why are you investing 80,000? Now it has gone to 1,20,000, 1,40,000 for one tulam, 10 grams of gold. Instead of investing 30 or 35,000, why are you spending 1,20,000 per 10 grams of gold? So similarly, you are trying to utilize Godavari and you want to bring Godavari water to Krishna Basin. Why? What happened to Krishna Basin assured waters? We fought Telangana in the name of water. Neelu, Nidulu, Niyamakalu. We said it is mainly water. What happened to the Krishna Basin? Allotted waters. I come from an Atmakur. Now it has come into Vanaparthi district. It was Palamuru. Jurala. Krishna is very close by. Till this day, we don't have proper electricity or daily drinking water. Leave out other necessities. When we have assured waters, why are we not tapping assured waters? What happened to Palamuru Rangareddy lift irrigation scheme? And why we could not tap more water from Jurala when Andhra Pradesh is doing, it is a downstream state. You are allowing all the water to go to Andhra Pradesh. Now you want to bring Godavari water to Krishna Basin. Why? Who is asking you? Instead, from Krishna, you can have a canal from Jurala crisscrossing Mahbubnagar district. Now it has been divided into Vanaparthi, Rangareddy, Dadnagar. You can bring a canal from Jurala to Jadcharla. From there, with the gravity, you can bring the water to Himayat Sagar and Usman Sagar, Gandipet water, and then you can take it to Manjira also. Instead, you are allowing water to go to Sagar, and from there again you bring back water to Hyderabad. You are allowing all allotted water to go down the stream to Andhra Pradesh. Now you want to bring Godavari water to Krishna. How much Godavari water has come into Godavari basin, you know. What happened to that, you know. Yes, sir. How can this policy be
yeah,
successful?
yeah, you're
Understand.
right. I mean, thank you, Shiv Prasad Reddy Garu. And it's a very important contentious issue. And what I was talking about, I was talking from a macro level. The budget, it was discussed in budget saying that five DPRs are already prepared about this linking of rivers. So now the question is, the government of India should make them transparent. Let them put it on a website. Seek the opinions of people. People like us will really respond. Will reflect on that. What are the uses of it? Who will benefit? Who will lose? Why we are going in for linking of rivers? Maybe you are
And
saying
such a
you are
huge
projecting
budget,
in,
Digaro, such a
yeah,
huge
yeah,
budget. You are an economist.
you are
Such a
projecting in
huge
such a way
budget.
that it will benefit other people. But what
Then
about
no
the
transparency, no transparency,
yeah,
accountability
no
on that amount.
transparency. Yes,
Their own
yes,
Nadda,
that
their
is
own
what I'm
national
saying.
president, Prabhakar Reddy Garu, their own national president, Nadda, he has made a very
Yeah,
big comment in 2020 that in the Godavari, 40,000 crores of rupees corruption has taken place. Why Prime Minister doesn't speak? Why on the floor of Lok Sabha no one speaks about that? Is it just a political this thing to win that Dubaka election? Now Mr. Nadda and Mr. Prime Minister has to clear. If such a big corruption has taken place, what is the action you have taken? 2019, 2020, 2021. They have gone for income tax rates. They have not mentioned which are the they said the companies have looted. Then why they did not go for enforcement directorate as they have gone in other issues, rates? Nothing is clear.
yeah, yes.
It's
Actually, there
public
should be
money. Public
transparency and
money.
accountability. We have been
Yeah.
talking about transparency and accountability at the level of local governments. Why not at the level of state governments and central government? And proudly, the government of India, they say that 5 DPRs have been prepared and we are going in for leaking of rivers project. Maybe it is useful for a larger section of people. They may say that it is in the interest of the public at large. But how do we really do that? What about the water rights of these people who are in Telangana? These areas,
Yes, we
as
have
you
lost.
rightly pointed out.
We are losing water. Krishna Basin water is
Uh,
going down the stream. How many projects are there to tap assured waters? First, you clear that.
yeah,
And what happened to that
yes,
Palamur Rangareddy? When corruption cases were
yes,
raised, courts they are there. They have simply
yeah,
stopped when we exposed corruption. That their
yeah,
central government is not speaking on that. And again, their own
yeah.
party president, Mr. Nadda, he states that
Mm,
40,000 crores corruption has taken place in Godavari lift irrigation scheme, which is called as Kaleshwaram, then why
mm.
they're not investigating even after the income tax rates? That beats my intelligence.
Yes,
Where is the
yes.
transparency? They are making just
Instead
this
of
big statement.
instead of raising outside, if they raise it in the parliament, that would make sense. So that is good. I mean, people come to know. We can try to see that people who are involved in it will be punished, and it's not simply saying for political gains. So whatever it is,
That's
one
what.
should
Then we are
really
losing.
create a
Then we are
debate.
losing.
One should,
Not only Dr. Reddy, we are losing Krishna Basin, our rightful waters to another state. We are not against that state. Let that state have their own share of water. They are constructing
yes,
new
yes,
projects. I appreciate them. But what about our
yeah,
Telangana Sea? He is not doing anything. He
yeah.
has shelved Krishna Basin just like that. And BJP doesn't even
All,
speak. All their BJP leaders are from North Telangana.
yeah,
Unfortunately, our chief minister, they all hail from North Telangana. South Telangana, entire Krishna basin has gone dry now. It has become a desert. How can this, and how can you say you will bring water from Godavari? Then what about my assured waters? That means you want to inflate the budget, no transparent and accountability, and you borrow loans. And tomorrow what? Every born citizen of Telangana will have so much of loan on his head for simply not allowing him to enjoy his own natural resources. The attained Telangana hood will deliberately dry down. Yes, sir.
yeah, yes. This is in fact, a very big issue, and it should be discussed. I think I suggest let us have a theme on this linking of rivers and its, merits and demerits as a separate case. We can discuss on that. But now that
Wonderful.
we are discussing about the budget,
Yes, yes, yes,
yeah,
please.
and there are the budget also mentioned about three special schemes for women and children. They were not really clear about it. They did not mention in the budget. And these are the two sections, women and children. We have been looking at for quite some time. They are the marginalized sections. You only announce three schemes, fine. But what are they? Where are they? How are you going to implement them? How much money is being allocated? Please speak out. That is what we are asking the government of India. Please tell us what are these, how you are going to implement. It's not simply a tokenism kind of thing. So next, yeah. As we know, there is a great learning loss due to closure of schools. We have been experiencing for the last 2 years because of COVID-19, and there is a great learning loss. And the children who are going to school, they could not go to school because of closure of schools, and they could not get midday meals because of the absence of schools. They lost education, they lost midday meals or nutritious food, they lost joyful learning, and they lost other activities at the Anganwadi center. when it comes to 0 to 6 years. When it comes to 6 to 18 years, students could not really get the education. Most of the time, schools were closed, and then many people like you and me represented the government and asked for education of children, which is very very important, because almost they lost 2 academic years. Even the government has agreed. Children lost 2 precious academic years, and they lost education. Therefore, they came out with one new initiative that is called e-content, developing e-content for children in schools who were deprived of education during pandemic situation. Fine, this is in a way really welcoming feature, and they are going to prepare e-content and broadcast through different channels. Therefore, they proposed 200 channels for giving this e-content education in the name of PM online education. This has been really well received by many people, and that's fine. Now they are going to be given a kind of special classes. To put it in common parlance, we say those who could not attend, they will be given special classes. Like that, now the children who could not get education during the last 2 years will be given e-content education through e-content through 200 channels. And another important initiative is digital university. Government of India is going to set up digital university, and the logic behind these digital university initiatives towards digitalization, digitalization, there is a great meaning behind it, because the more and more you use technology, you would be addressing the problems involved in recording and retrieving the data and ensuring the safety of the data, and it will become a great evidence base. That is why the data are being collected and they are being digitized and they are kept in cloud or wherever it is possible, so that you can easily access any common man tomorrow with the help of phone or laptop, computer. They will be able to access the data and look at the situation and all that. It will become public. It will become transparent. So the more and more digitization, the more and more benefit people will get it. And now that there is a thinking in universities, higher learning institutions like central universities, they have already introduced courses, programs called society and technology interface, and how society can resolve their issues based on the technology and technology advancement. So it's all from that background, I think. A digital university is going to be set up, and 75 digital banks will be started in 75 districts. And another important thing is post offices are going to be transformed into banks, just like any other bank. Post offices will function tomorrow onwards. I think it's a right step, because post offices are losing their importance, because once upon a time we used to go to post office. It was very important in the but now it is not like that previous days. Therefore, what we also, it will perform the banking services, and we are seen in Andhra Pradesh and Telugu states how they were disbursing the wages to the laborers in NGNREGA. So that is one role. Actually, the idea was good. There were hiccups in the payment of wages through post offices. But however, now
Not
let's
only
see
that,
how
here,
concretely. Yeah,
they are saying
yeah.
something, central government is saying something. In our own Hyderabad, from where Santosh Nagar, New Santosh Nagar colony, from where I am
Mm,
beaming this live to the world, they have closed the
mm,
post office. It's all nonsense. See, they are saying something and doing something else, because they are trying to
mm,
close. See how they have merged the banks, and now they are
mm,
closing the post offices. Now they say
mm.
everything, we are turning post offices into banks. Where is the post office? Why did you close the post office then? You have merged banks. This is all trying to privatize everything. On the paper,
Yeah.
something, and actually something else is happening. And if it is
Mm.
really, if you are increasing post offices, if you are really turning them into banks, nothing like it. We will welcome it.
Yeah, yeah, correct. And I think maybe the head post offices, which are really critical in junctions, they may be converted into banks, but other post offices will continue. As you rightly said, some of the small post offices are closed down. Why it is so? Do they not need postal services? They
we
have
are
to
we are
go
we are
for,
facing we are facing difficulties, sir, in Santosh Nagar. I have to mail
yeah.
something, I have to post something, I have to buy something. Even we have accounts there, deposits there. All of a sudden, overnight they have shifted. Nonsense. This is absolutely strange.
But no, no. What I'm saying is that when budget is really presented, there should be explanatory notes, detailed explanatory notes, which should be uploaded on the website of the Government of India, Finance Ministry, so that people can access, they can go through, they can read. There should be transparency. Please explain the rationale. Please explain the give us numbers. How many post offices? Where? How do you want to convert them into banks? Why it is so? What is the need? Who represented to do so? And like this, digital
Digitalization
economy.
digitalization
Yeah,
to make money to become more neo rich, to make all those laptop manufacturers or mobile manufacturers to become more rich. And this is what is happening, but not a digitalization of prime minister's office or chief minister's office, because we are not able to contact them through digitalization. Digital digitally we are not able to contact them. Which address we have to contact, where should we send our complaint? Now everything has been centralized now. You have seen income tax, it has been taken away from Hyderabad, it has gone to Bengaluru now. See, this is what is happening.
yeah,
Where is transparency?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, and we have to discuss, we have to organize sessions like
Yeah,
these.
just trying to put
And
forward.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And another important initiative is MSMEs. Micro, small, and medium enterprises are given a real fillip and make them sustainable institutions. Because during COVID, these are these sectors which are badly affected. People lost their businesses, their employment, and people who are dependent on MSMEs for employment, they lost their employment income and they came back to their villages. They were suffering like anything. So now that the government has recognized and they created a platform for marketing their output. That is one thing. Secondly, huge investment. If I remember correctly, 2 lakh crore rupees has been allocated towards MSMEs. And there is also another third thing, credit guarantee scheme has been introduced for MSMEs so that they can generate employment for semi-skilled and skilled personnel in the near future. So many people were representing the issues of MSMEs for the last 5 years. I am the witness because I was in Delhi. I have seen how people are going to the ministry and submitting the memorandums about the micro, small, medium enterprises and different kinds of sections. Institutions were submitting the representations. So it's good that MSME is given a good support in this budget. But let's see whether they are going to really implement in letter and spirit. So my only point is that whatever you say in the budget, please do it at the end of the day, so that there can be some kind of positive picture that emerge. So it's not simply saying and not doing. So let us stick to it. If you say something, please do it. So this is one sector which got real benefit, that is MSME, and then next is inflation and unemployment. This is another important aspect that the government of India is grappling with. Inflation is 5.6, and we have high wholesale price index, high consumer price index, depicting that there is a wholesale price inflation and consumer price inflation. So the inflation which is mentioned here, 5.6%, it is a real burden on the consumers. Prices of everything has gone up. All essential commodities, starting from onions, pulses, everything. So that's how the inflation is rising. On the one hand, we are facing the inflation. On the other, we have the unemployment situation, and employment is lost almost 30% during COVID-19. There is a study by one economist from Delhi which say that 39% of women lost 39% of women lost employment, whereas 29% of men lost employment during uh, COVID-19 situation. That means because of COVID-19, the employment from many sectors has been badly affected. This is one area which was not in fact discussed in a detailed fashion. And another important thing is that there is a report recently released by the RBI which said that the title is Coping with the Pandemic, the Third Dimension. So, in which they mentioned that local governments by nature are suited to this country. The local governments are the ones which are really delivering the services. Particularly during COVID-19, local governments have really helped in tracing, tracking, treating the COVID-19 patients. So therefore, local governments needed to be strengthened. More importantly, local governments, rural local bodies and urban local bodies, we call them as city governments, they needed to be, their fiscal strength needs to be improved. But RBI report did not say that how this fiscal strength will come. The government of India, at least government of India should have discussed about this. Given the recent experience, wherein the local governments have addressed very well the COVID situation, neither they were congratulated, neither they were thanked, nor they were given resources adequately, and this has to be discussed, but which did not get any mention in the budget. So this is how we are ignoring certain important sectors, and there are very many other aspects. And if you look at the on the other side of the coin, and more it is industry oriented and service sector oriented, and industries startups are given another issue. Startups are given 2 lakh crore rupees. I'm asking the government of India, you only encourage entrepreneurs, you only encourage businessmen. Why not? Why not you encourage entrepreneurs in agricultural sector? There are many people who are doing experiments in agricultural sector. It is not the old type of agriculture now. People are going in for innovative methods. People are adopting organic farming. People need some kind of investment. You please help benefit them. Another important thing is farmer producer organizations have become non-functional in some places. They are not really picking up, but the government of India is really still harping on the same strategy. I don't know why they are doing it. Instead of encouraging the agricultural sector, which is providing livelihood to the 58% of the population even today. It is the sector which is really taking care of the needs of the people. You see, agriculture and allied activities sector together as a primary source is meeting the needs of the 58% of the population. So this is another important thing. And the startups are given 2 lakh crore rupees in this budget. And another important thing is that every year in the budget, whether it is said or not, more than 1 lakh crore rupees are foregone in the name of revenues lost to the companies, corporates. The government is pampering the corporates. The government is providing, relief, royalty, and benefits, so on and so forth. As a result, the government budget document itself is talking about it. It is clear every year. More, roughly 1 lakh crore rupees are being given to the banks every year for starting, either for starting new industries or for continuing in a particular region, and so on. Surprisingly, when I did some kind of analysis, it came to my notice that hotels started in some places are given tax relief, tax benefit, and so on and so forth. And it is making very good. It was making very good business before COVID-19. I'm sure after COVID, after March, April, once COVID is gone, the tourism and travel industry will really make benefit. Why do you want to give them so much tax benefit? While this is on the one side, on the other, we have the tax havens. You know pretty well that how, in the name of fictitious companies, people are transferring their resources to other countries and they are putting there, not reinvesting in our country. You know pretty well what is a tax haven. They are evading taxes transferring the resources from India to other country and safely enjoying those resources and not reinvesting in India. So therefore, the government of India needs to relook at the budget, and it should be discussed thoroughly in Parliament. In this Parliament, in this budget session, they should discuss each and every aspect of budget presented and its implications, threadbare, and necessary changes need to be made. Now, still there is now an opportunity to make necessary changes. It's not that it is over. It is only a tentative budget that has been presented by the minister in the parliament. It will be discussed thoroughly by all the honorable members of parliament, and then their opinions will be taken into account. People will also write to them. Please consider receiving opinions from the people, and let's make it a people's budget, and so that people will also benefit out of it, people will appreciate it. And the budget means budget should come from below. Budget should come from below. A village level budget, mandal level budget, district level budget, then sum up all these, and you arrive at a state level budget. And budgets prepared at the state level should be summed up, and you will get a bigger budget. It's called a union budget at the central government. Though we have abolished the planning commission and we have gone for economic reforms, still our planning is not from below, it is from above. Let's see our budget. The budget is being given by the government of India. Why don't you consider the people's wishes? Organize stakeholders meetings, organize consultative meetings. Please seek the opinions and wishes of the people from below, village level, mandal or block level, district level, state level. Then come up with your own budget. That should be the people's budget, and we want people's budget with transparency and accountability, so that people will really enjoy. And on the other hand, the people will be happy to contribute through taxes, direct and indirect taxes. They will not feel pinch of it, because you are collecting it and you are spending for our own sake. And budget is a budget, which is something very interesting tool. So it should be made people's budget. It should be made people's budget. So this is what I want to say. And there are other aspects also, but anyway, I have covered most of the things. If there are any aspects that are left over, we can discuss in the question and answer session. So I would like to thank the TSPR channel for giving me an opportunity to express my views. And by and large, budget is okay. It has covered many areas. But finally, I would like to say one thing. If the government has discussed, given scope for a kind of relief, or government made some investments in the agricultural sector benefiting farming community, one, two, talking about allocating more and more resources to the social protection of the poor and vulnerable sections, and then it will become a balancing act, and it will be leading towards inclusive budget or inclusive development. Otherwise, what will happen is that it will become a lopsided budget, and we will not be able to make it inclusive. Although we have been talking about inclusive approach for quite some time in our budget documents and economic survey reports, and to put it in practice, I think there are some hiccups and hurdles. We need to overcome those and come out openly and discuss with people, and then make it a people's budget, and make it an inclusive budget, and make it a much more meaningful budget that will take care of the needs of the people, and including agriculture and other sections. Thank you.
Yeah, but here I'm just trying to play some reactions from opposition. Mayawati says, to woo public with new promises, BSP. And I ask you, because they have come to the February 1st now, and then union budget disappointing, nothing in it for common people, Kejriwal. And I don't know what he's doing for Aam Aadmi. He's trying to frighten people in the name of COVID, and he recovers one day, whereas he goes for night curfews and all nonsensical things. PM Modi hails people-friendly and progressive budget. Visionary budget outlines government focus on making India self-reliant. I don't know BJP. How do you know how self-reliant? when you are allowing Western medicine to destroy our health, you are ignoring our own Ayurveda, our own traditional medicine, our own naturopathy, which we have been curing. And when the Andhra Pradesh state is not allowing Anandaya Ayurveda Corona medicine, nor BJP, which has already passed a holistic bill in April 2020, why BJP is silent? Where is self-reliancy? What will you say about Swadeshi Jagran when we have allowed 100% foreign direct investment in retail BJP? That means even street side kirana shops and milk vendor shops tomorrow will vanish. You will have only malls for sake of milk, for sake of small matchbox. You have to stand in the queue in the mall to get it from the mall. India is a small geographically with high density population. You have seen what happened to US, such a geographical area, big geographical area, how pandemics were spreading. So what will you say about this? Linking of rivers, you talk about corruption. What happened corruption after November 8, 2016 demonetization? Why there is no income tax revenue reforms nor electoral reforms, BJP? That means you caught hold of corruption, you are utilizing it for political ends. Why are you not punished all those who have been caught during demonetization? That means you want to grow at the cost of corruption. Corruption is the biggest scourge BJP has to answer. Maharashtra Congress on budget, it says big numbers, dreamy promises, but nothing in reality. But Maharashtra Congress also, because SSI, vaccine manufacturing comes from Pune, they have created a lot of fear psychosis. Today we have been asking Supreme Court to High Court, where is Corona? Did you do any autopsy? Where is the postmortem report? Insurance companies, instead of funding them because people die because of comorbidities, tuberculosis to all, malaria, they are all insured. Instead of paying that amount, government is paying 50,000, my money, tax money, allowing insurance people to go scot-free. And again, under EUA, emergency use authorization, you are investing my money for vaccine manufacturing, wherein 99.9% recover on their own in case of corona. And now even children also being vaccinated. Where is the accountability and transparency? Maharashtra or union government? Courts are also doing nothing. Amit Shah hails union budget as visionary. They brought archaic epidemic act, disaster management act to frighten people, force lockdowns, killed employment, people killed out of fear psychosis, but there is no case. Is there any autopsy, any postmortem done, any criminal case booked against hospitals, or for that matter, Indian Council of Medical Research, or for all those creating this chaos? Nothing they speak. NCP on budget. It says today's budget shows that all the tall claims, employment, housing, or agriculture. Rajnath welcomes for defense sector in union budget. You have seen what has happened. France has ordered for a probe in Rafale. They don't speak anything on that. How Anil Ambani, who went stating that he's broke, gets 30,000 crores in the name of offsets. How do you look at this, Prabhakar Reddy, or these things? They speak something else, they're doing something else. Banks merged to help corporates. As you have rightly pointed out, 1 lakh crores waved off in the name of corporates, but nothing is given for agriculture sector, for youth, women, and all those unemployed. How do you look at this scenario? Now see, the budget has come to 1st February now. Before it used to be March, April. By that time, the crop, first the crop from Rabi, that Rabi crop, after that, by February or March, it would have come into the market, and that would have given a good fillip. That means they are ignored agriculture, which is the basic source of strength of Indian economy. And during this pandemic, but for agriculture, we would have been struggling. Many lives would have been lost. How do you look at this scenario? So they are trying to totally damage India's threshold of agriculture.
Yeah, I would like to add one thing to your statement. The socio-economic inequalities are rising. Inequalities have increased by so many rates in India. And because of the inequalities in Indian economy and global inequalities have increased like anything. So why it is happening? Why can't you look at that? And late 90s, we were on the right path. We were trying to reduce the poverty. We were trying to work towards poverty alleviation, but we forgot to look at the other side of the coin, that is addressing the economic and social inequalities. Now that is a big question, and we don't have a skilled workforce. We have started good program, DDU GKY. If you look at the functioning of DDU GKY, it's a big challenge. I think you're right. We need to discuss, debate, and bring it to the notice of the government and departments and the ministries. And we cannot sit as a mute accomplice. We cannot become
Yep.
mute accomplice. Rather, we can discuss, debate, and bring it to the notice of the governments and try to bring about change towards
Right.
corruption-free India. Corruption-free India.
Definitely. You have seen during pandemic, Ambani is
Yeah.
becoming neo rich, entering Forbes list, and about Prime Minister was about to celebrate when people were dying, people were losing employment. Migrant labor were not allowed to travel by train or any means by just creating this fear psychosis and lockdowns. This government has to answer. They were celebrating Ambani's entry Forbes. How can an individual or a company grow bigger than a country? This is and that to utilizing our own natural resources. Every citizen is the owner of this natural resource of the country. What is this nonsense going
Yes.
on? How do you look at the scenario?
Yes. Another important thing I would like to add here, and there is a tool called natural resource extraction tax. Whenever natural resources are extracted by people or entrepreneurs or companies, they need to be taxed accordingly. It is not their private property, whether it is water, forests, or mines, minerals, whatever it is. They may be getting licenses, but for which they need to be taxed separately. This is one important thing we are missing in India, Indian government. Natural resources extraction need to be taxed appropriately. Second important thing I would like to bring it to notice of many people, that is District Mineral Foundation. And there is an act called District Minerals Prohibition and Regulation Act 2005. There is an act, and we say that when minerals are extracted, the what do I say? Proceeds of that, a portion of proceeds of that minerals extraction will be given to the local people through government. So that's how they get the royalty. District governments will get royalty in the name of DMF. So the district governments are authorized, responsible to form district mineral foundation, wherein the local government representatives and the local people who are affected will be the members. They will decide, given those royalties which is running into crores of rupees, how will they spend it for the welfare of the local people. And if you look at the states like Orissa, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and these are the states which are getting huge amounts of royalty in the name of DMF. But no one knows what is happening with those resources. The district government is really baffled with crores of rupees money. They do not know what to do it. Even in Telangana, some of the districts are getting royalty resources from DMF towards DMF, but there is no study yet. How much they received, how did they spend it, how much is left, who are the beneficiaries, who are the intended beneficiaries. This is one area, so much of money, so much of resources can be raised. And as you rightly said, corruption free India, we want corruption free India, towards which all should be enlightened and taken forward.
That will that happen because they have diluted Right to Information Act. No information is being given. And see the political parties. JDU calls it is disappointing. Rahul Gandhi reacts to zero sum budget, nothing for salaried class, middle class, the poor and deprived, youth, farmers, MSMEs. And but these parties are all together when it comes to Corona pandemic, supplying government money, taxed money to create fear psychosis. Booster after booster, he is advising booster. I asked him, where is the science behind booster? If first dose doesn't work, how will the second dose? And I've been asking, which disease is the killer disease in India for youth and children? Is it TB, malaria, dengue, typhoid, or corona? No political party, including Rahul Gandhi or Mamata Ben, no one speaks. They're all on the one side of the spectrum because big pharmacy and insurance lobbies, they all fund these people. And now, when it comes to just to political, that is the biggest bane of our democracy. People are suffering for want of these political parties really fighting for the people. And now, when it comes to farmers, Honorable Prime Minister, he came out and openly stated he is apologized. And after that, where is the guarantee for a minimum support price, which he said on the floor of the parliament? Nothing is reflected in the budget. Is it not a big issue, Dr. Reddy garu?
Yes, it is. It is. I agree with you. And farm laws have been, repealed or taken back. And but how are we going to really help benefit the farmers in terms of MSP and
Nothing is
minimum
reflected
support
here.
price?
Nothing is reflected in the budget. Nothing is reflected in
And
the
why
budget.
can't
After he repealed the three
why?
laws and MSP guarantee, nothing is there. How they are going to double the farm income? Now you have seen the growth rate.
Yeah.
As per the growth rate,
Yes.
even the agriculture rate is coming down from the
That's
existing
what I'm saying.
2019-20. By 2022, he has promised to double the income. How can it happen now?
Yeah.
No mention of that.
It is nothing. It is just 10,000 rupees plus per month. That means 1,20,000 rupees. A family has to sustain with 1,20,000 rupees per year, whereas others are running into crores of rupees. See the economic inequalities.
That's
Farmer
what.
is there wherever he was, and you are promoting the entrepreneurs, corporates, and business people, and
Startup
you are
companies,
giving.
corporates, waving of lakhs of crores of rupees in the name of corporates. See, we have seen the example, Reliance, that entire infrastructure, that fellow has mortgaged and he stated broke to NCLT and ran to Supreme Court. Now he gets again Rafael offset contracts worth of thousands of crores, and banks merged. This civil, what is that civil? Credit Information Bureau India Limited, that nonsensical bloody organization. If I don't pay one EMI, it blacklists me. This bloody organization called CIBIL, how is that it has not blacklisted Ambani or Adani when they have literally destroyed banks because of them? But there is merger of banks to see that no individual notices it, no citizen notices it. And not only that, every budget, lakhs of crores of rupees is waived off for these buggers. But this Credit Information Bureau Limited, that fellow, he just blacklists us. And how banks are sharing my information, how banks have failed to share the information of Ambani, Adanis. How do you look at this scenario?
Yeah, I would like to request the government to focus on one important thing, that is, please recollect the non-performing assets from the people who are responsible for it. Please try to collect those NPAs, not the small people, small loans. You try to focus on NPAs, you will get lakhs of rupees, lakhs of crores of rupees. That is one thing. Second thing is that please try to avoid illicit financial flows, tax havens. It is one of the important aspects of fiscal space creation. If the government is really committed, if they can really eliminate the illicit financial flows, address the issue of NPS, we'll have so much of money in our treasury. No need to tax the people, no need to burden the people. So I'm asking the government from your forum.
Yes. That's wonderful. Because the non-performance assets were 10 lakh crores in 2018 itself. We have presented it from Bank A to Bank Z. Now it would have become 20 lakh crores. Government is
Yes,
silent on that. Instead, it
yes,
is helping those industrialist corporates who have
yeah,
made banks defunct, and not only that, they have collected in the form of public shares. Innocent
yes,
public were made to pay, and again they have borrowed from many financial institutions. And the central government doesn't bother about that, because BJP came on the slogan, black money will be brought to India, every citizen will have 15 lakhs in his account. Now see, after this budget also, nothing is coming forward. Mamata Banerjee calls it as Pegasus spin budget. Sitaram Yechuri reacts to the budget. He says, budget for whom? The richest 10% Indians own 75% of the country's wealth. Bottom 60% own less than 5%. Why are those who have amassed super profits during the pandemic, while joblessness, poverty, and hunger have grown, not being taxed more? That is a valid point, but even they have failed in West Bengal. How they also became corporate political party after that. But still, it is a valid point which is raised. How do you react to this, sir?
yeah. I can say only with one sentence. I'm only asking the government of India, requesting the government of India to focus on the inequalities. Rich are becoming the richest, poor are becoming the poorer and poorest. So please look at the inequalities and try to address the systems which are not really favorable to us. Try to have systems which are foolproof and ensure
Right.
transparency and accountability, and try to
Wonderful.
address these issues. Thank you.
Wonderful. Just last two issues. Derek O'Brien, he says diamonds are this government's best friend. For the rest, farmers, middle class, daily earners, unemployed. This is a PM does not, care budget. He says because they have given so many largesses for diamond merchants, corporates, startups, ignored agriculture, farmers, ignored middle class, salaried or employees, daily earners. Because the inflation is so much, there is no benefit for the salaried or middle class. See, farmer who produces this farm harvest, he is not benefiting. He is not getting minimum support price or normal price for his produce. While as the end consumer, when I am going and buying in a shop, in a mall or in a super show store, I am being paid more. Where is this money going in between? Who is making this profit? That is $1 million question. Petrol and gas, they have increased rates, and they say they are funding for vaccines. Who asked you for to fund vaccines, Mr. Prime Minister? And all the political parties, they are on the one plane. 99.9% they recover on their own or not. Is it not tuberculosis, malaria, which is killing the Indians, youth and children, or corona? You debate, come out transparently. Instead of that, looting from the people, even during COVID, when people have lost their livelihoods, and see this budget. It is really good what they are trying to say. Congress leader Gaurav Gogoi, the budget has focused on interests of big business friends of PM Modi. It has not tackled the problems of unemployment and inflation. They have done the same. Even Congress regime also. They were waving off 30,000, 40,000 crores. They were the ones who have opened Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. It is Congress UPA government which has started all that privatizing health sector. They don't speak on that. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh tweeted on river linking projects mentioned that we have already done it. Congress General Secretary Randeep Surjala reacts to the, and he says cryptocurrency now legal without bringing the cryptocurrency bill. As you tax the cryptocurrency, what about its regulator? What about regulation of crypto exchanges? What about protection? Tomorrow you will have this live on Dr. TSPR channel regarding cryptocurrencies demystified. You watch it, you will enjoy, so that every citizen will become concerned after that. And Congress again, it clearly says एक तरफ दूसरी तरफ. He says सरकार की आय में जबरदस्त उछाल. It says government has made lot of money. दूसरी तरफ 2021 के दौरान भारत में घट गई 84% परिवारों की आय. He says whether on 64.9% in 2020 government has made money out of taxes from people, and in 2021 84% of people, families have lost their income. सबका साथ सबका विकास सिर्फ एक जुमला है. Okay, so these are some political comments which I wanted.
Yeah. Okay.
Many industrial comments also which they were appreciating, and they were all appreciating. There were many of industries. So this is how this, and our own finance minister, we are proud of her being a lady women finance minister, but not proud of her budget which she has presented, many say. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Tuesday apologized to the middle class taxpayers after presenting the Union Budget 2022 earlier in the day. Since little to no changes were brought into effect in terms of income tax, the budget may turn out to be a disappointment for salaried and middle class taxpayers. This is what she showed. She shared across the, and there were many other things which I thought would share, but because of lack of time, we are quitting the show. And one last word from our experienced economist before we say bye. People, you become vigilant. It is our money, it is our natural resource, and it is our fundamental right. And it is, we are in a republic country, we are ourselves a constitutional authority, and we should have total information, confirmed information, when before presenting the budget, how panchayats, mandals, district panchayats, every state government in every state have made them to become dysfunctional or enslaved. We have been demanding remove entry 5 from the state list so that these panchayats, district panchayats, Zilla Parishads, they function independently. Your point, sir, last point. Sir, just మీరు కొద్దిగా ఫేస్ కొద్దిగా పైకి పెట్టి you finish it off, sir. Your last point. Prabhakar Reddy garu. Just I think మీరు కొద్దిగా, your face is not visible. Yeah. Your last point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You finish it off.
Yeah, I think, yes, In this context, I would like to make a couple of things. One is the budget should become a people's budget. It should be prepared from the bottom, and people should be involved, especially men and women equally, and for which people should be educated. Awareness generation should happen, for which there is a responsibility on all of us, not only governments but also the civil society, media, people, and everyone. All should come together and educate the people about the budget preparation methodology, methods, and next time hope that we'll prepare a people's budget, and so that the aspirations of the people will get reflected in the union budget 23-24. Thank you.
Yeah, let us hope for the best. Tomorrow, don't forget, this will be retelecasted at 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time on CITIZENS-DRTSPR channel, because he has simplified it to the core basic level. Every citizen, every student will understand what Dr. Prabhakar Reddy Tada has done today. He has simplified it to the corest level. Simply, very clear. When it is pandemic, it should be health. If you want to know health, you should have education. And under environment, we brought under this channel food and agriculture and legal education, because to understand all these perspectives. And environment, what is that they have done? They have made big statements in the budget, how they are going to bring down the carbon or whatever it is. What they are going to do, nothing is clearly reflecting, except trying to have big words in the name of to attract people because of assembly elections. And after March 10th, are they going to increase the rates of diesel and petroleum? They have brought down, you see, what is the gas rate, what is the subsidy they are providing, and in whose interest all this is being done. Neither the farmer is happy, neither end consumer we are happy, neither the salaried class is happy. Many students lost their education. Nothing, there is no new education policy or nothing. They are not spoken anything. Neither they are happy. At a stage when we say environment, when people are dying because of this pandemic, no accountability and transparency. And COP26, big words were made, but Honorable Prime Minister is he is inviting people to invest in our natural sector, oil and gas, in a big way. One side you want to protect, you want to salvage. On the other side, you are in trying to invest in such core sectors, oil, coal, gas, which again will result in environmental disaster. That is why there is no mention and no talk on the floor of the assembly or parliament. Or our chief minister Kallakunta Tarakar Ramarao, he said it is a Gundusunna budget. One side is selling away all public sector units, and that also profit making, LIC, BSNL, Air India, and other side he say government is going to do very well when it comes to this thing. And farmers, because of election issues or other issues, KCR just shifted his stand, but he was also participating in the Bharat Bandh when the union government was against repealing farm laws. Now they have to answer why he is not buying anything here. What has happened to Kaleshwaram? What has happened to Krishna Basin? What is happening to Dharani? What is happening to 317? What is happening to unemployed? So many promise, even state government has to fulfill it. But all said and done, no state government is happy. They feel their federal rights are being usurped. That is a big issue. That is a big issue. I only hope this should not happen in independent India. But mind you, right from Prime Minister to Chief Minister, they're all public servants. They work, they function with the taxes paid by us. They are not monarchs. We are not living in a tyranny and a dynasty. It is not a monarch dynasty. It is a people participatory constitutional democracy. So I hope ప్రజలు కూడా అందరూ ఆలోచన చేస్తారు. ప్రజాస్వామ్యబద్ధంగానే కేంద్ర రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వాలు ప్రజాహితంలోనే పారదర్శకంగా జవాబుదారితనంతోనే పనిచేయాలా. అందుగురించే ఈ బడ్జెట్ విశేషాలు ప్రభాకర్ రెడ్డి గారు మొత్తం ఒలిచిపెట్టి సామాన్యులకు అర్థమయ్యే విధంగా చెప్పడం జరిగింది. బడ్జెట్ అంటే మనం కట్టే పన్నులు మనకు వాళ్ళు లెక్క చెప్పాలి. మన అవసరాలకు తగ్గట్టుగానే కేంద్ర రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వాలు నడుపుకోవాలా. అదే ఈ పద్దుల లెక్క. రేపు పునః ప్రసారం CITIZENS-DRTSPR ఛానల్లో అవుతుంది 11 గంటలకు. తప్పక చూడండి. Do support Dr. TSPR channels in larger public interest. Thank you very much, sir. Take care. Good night. For all the Indians, Sukha Nidra, Shubharatri. For the world over, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Take care. Bye.